That dude's trash. Tyson.
2 minutes left. Left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts
right here, right now.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
What? It says we live.
We are.
Where's the intro?
Did you not? It played on my end.
Well, damn it, we live.
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah.
And you missed the song I had for you.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You said you had a surprise for me. I missed the song. Anyhow.
You want to tell you what it was?
What's the song?
Just the two of us.
I'm not even going to say what it Oh, my God. All right, look. So welcome to this episode of HOG HQ Live. Tonight, you see, we are missing one of the three amigos. And this is episode, what?
Let's fix it. Oh, okay.
I don't like being on this side.
Well, it's fine. Because our names are,
Because we don't want to confuse anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he's Adam.
There you go.
And I'm DP, all right? So Matt wasn't able to be with us tonight. He had some family situations he had to take care of, so he is not going to be with us tonight. Tonight we're running. It's a two-man show. And as you heard it, in the intro, it's just the two of us, right? So, welcome to HOG HQ Live. This is another episode. This is episode 16, or 16 for my bilingual family.
Do you have to look that up?
No. I'm bilingual.
Okay.
Like I told you, like as much Spanish as I took, I should be bilingual. But it's like anything else. You don't use it, you lose it. Right?
Sure.
So let's get right into it. First of all, before we start this show, on a somber note, man, Mortensen, yeah, so he passed away today, man.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away today. Of course, he was an ESPN analyst and sportscaster, Chris Mortensen. And his son also played for the university, played quarterback. So once again, condolences to his family, and he will be missed. Like I said, me and you chatted briefly about how we loved how he called the game.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely going to be missed. So like I said, condolences to his family and their loss.
Yeah, I was really shocked when you sent that earlier because I hadn't been much or seeing what was all going on the outside world, but I had the privilege of meeting him in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And when stuff like this happens, you think back to like that because I got to meet him, and as genuine and as nice of a person as he was, I mean, it's crazy to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, condolences to his family, man. He will be missed as part of the Razorback family. And once again, condolences to his family and their loss. We're gonna jump right into the show. So once again, we got basketball, men's basketball versus University of Kentucky. So we don't do more victories here, right? At the same time, we do want to give credit where credit is due. There was a lot of fight. There was a lot of energy. There was a lot of want to in this particular game. Battle went off again. Which makes you wonder what has all this been the whole season. He just went on a run at the end, but where has his team chemistry been? Where has this ability to score the basket and will from him? Where has this been? But anyway, Kentucky edges out Arkansas. Arkansas was in the game, had opportunity to win. I think they could have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
They only played 8 players. Must only play 8.
8 players. Yep.
Yeah. So I think he went back to his original formula. I don't know. It's a lot that goes into that particular game. Like I say, they lost the game. It's the L. They were under 500 at this point.
Yeah, they're 14-15 right now. So
14-15 going to the SEC tournament.
Well, we got 2 more games, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. Right now, you're just trying to get out of having to play day one.
Correct.
So, it's one of those that, like, going back to your question, like, where's this been when Caliph battle or Caliph battle? Sorry, not Wiz Khalifa. But that's been a big question with a lot of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the 12-13 deep rotation that we had seen, because Muss was trying to find something that worked, kind of took some of the guys out of the game to be able to get in a rhythm or whatever. Because, yesterday the announcers made mention several times, and it was in reference to Davenport. But they said several times, like, the shooter needs to shoot. The shooter's going to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Letting him keep shooting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, that's 100% true. And so with what Muss has done about, a couple bad shots or bad defense play and pulling them, these guys never could get in a rhythm.
Correct.
So, it's one of those, it's too little too late, but, at least they're not just laying down.
Right. So I looked at it, Twin, where have you been? Twin. So looking at Twin, looking at Battle, and looking at Mark. Those are the 3 guys that I think have put forth the effort as far as scoring the basket and put forth a great effort. At the end of the day, I look at it, and I look at our bench, and I look at our scoring. I looked at the fact that Trevor Brazile actually fouled out of the game and didn't even have double digits.
Fouled out last game too.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. I mean, I understand you need him for his size, his athleticism, and you hoping that he can give you a spark. At the same time, you're not getting it. I'm not saying don't play him, but I guess I'm trying to figure out where's his head mentally in regards to when he gets in the game and has the opportunity to score points. Oh, shit.
There we go again.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. My little gimbal just won't stay up. Oh, come on.
That's what she said.
They didn't like each other. When they don't like Muslim, we'll accept Devo. Yeah. Teresa, that whole Devo situation, that's been interesting to me the whole time. And I watched him at the end of the game looking like it's just silly fouls. This guy comes up the floor, and you don't have to stop the ball at half court and cause a foul. Just play your position, play regular defense, and see if you can get them guys to throw up a bad shot, get a rebound, and go down the floor and try to score. A lot of times we were in it, and I felt like we cost ourselves the game just by not being focused on the mission at hand, not really locking in on what needs to be done and playing as a unit. But that's what I saw towards the end of the game. So it was disturbing to watch at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it happened in the first half a little bit, and then towards the end of the game, it was like Kentucky, when we were up 9 with, I think, 7 or 8 minutes left, and then Kentucky goes on a little run, and then they're back in it. Well, they're never really out of it, but they're,
right.
they've cut the gap, and then we just start kind of like trying to match them or quiet the crowd, and so then we'll jack up a three or a bat, and it was just kind of like you don't need to start jacking shots.
Yeah,
I mean,
like Bruce Pearl said today with his team, you gotta start making shots as opposed to just taking shots. And it made total sense to me. Like I said, you got to make the shot. It has to be a quality percentage and opportunity to make the goal. So at the end of the day, I felt like they were just trying to. I'm open. Let me shoot it and just see if it sinks. Dog, wait a
like
minute.
that. Hey, perfect timing.
There you go. Speaking
But
of fouling,
I mean, 213 points though in a college game.
yeah, that was crazy. And the thing that was interesting is I was looking like, why is it always against Arkansas when we have these situations where people do these record numbers against us? Let me get up real quick.
Okay.
Unorthodox today, but we're gonna make it happen. So, speaking of falling,
they had 7 players in double figures also.
and we had how many?
1,
Four?
2, 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the season is over with. At the end of the day, I feel like, and I'm going back to the comment we talked about last week. I'm like, what would have happened if Barry Dunn Jr. was still here? What would have happened if Darren Ford was here playing defense? What would have happened? I just wonder what would have happened. It's the woulda, coulda, shouldas, but at the end of the day, we got what we got. So speaking of my gimbal falling that was holding my phone, I watched Coach Neighbors today fumble the bag. Shout out to Coach Neighbors. Got a glass of wine.
Keeping it classy.
Yeah, because it's over with. It's damn over with, Coach Neighbors. You can go ahead and pack your bags now, pack up your office. It's over with. Look, at the end of the day, I'm sick and tired of watching these young ladies fight so hard to lose a game. And I'm like, these girls are out here struggling to make a damn shot. I don't know if you can check this out, but I want to say 2, 4, maybe 6 points were scored in the third quarter. Maybe
Well,
6 points.
we've had that happen honestly more often than it not. Whether it
It,
be, it's usually been around the third quarter that we've just had like a breakdown quarter. Let's see the box.
and I watch Papa Burger. I just watch her just run up and down the court for the sake of having energy, to the point to where she got a chance to get to the basket and she just flailed her body and fell backwards and almost, if not hit her head, I'd had to pull her from the game. But she hit her head.
You
How
want
many points was it?
4?
By the same person, right? Was it Daniel? She only had 4 points.
No, I was just saying the third quarter, Arkansas only scored 4 points.
Right, by the same person.
Yeah. And so you started the third quarter down 32-48, and then you finished the third quarter down 36-64.
And the part that was sad to me to watch is like, you're not even gonna go to your bench.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to your bench. Who do you have on your bench? And I think about all these players. Hell, let's be clear. The man has the ability to recruit. He has some hell of All-Americans that came in and transferred in. Some players that were from the state who went to other schools who came back. And all of a sudden, you don't have the ability to put all these players together and make it work. It's almost to the point to where his ego is saying, you're going to play my system, as opposed to catering to the personnel that you have on your roster and then making it work. And I'm going to say this, and me and you talk about this briefly. It's time for a female coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for a female coach. It's a very unpopular opinion. I'm going to say this. I felt like the men that have led the ladybacks or the lady racerbacks for the longest have all been ego and pride driven. Jimmy Dykes, that shit was a joke.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do. Gary Blair was the only dude I can think about, and I say that because he was an older gentleman who understood the game, who understood personnel, and who had a relationship with these young ladies and let them be able to flourish within the system. And he catered to their gifts. It just seems like the guys that we've been having, they just keep saying, you're going to run my system. And it never really works. Go ahead.
And to piggyback off that, too, let's look at the landscape of women's basketball.
Uh-huh.
And, okay, so you mentioned Gary Blair. We'll take him out of the equation just because.
Right.
But let's look at just the women's basketball as a whole history. UConn's coach is like the only real successful male coach
Correct.
in women's college basketball.
Right.
I mean, you look at Kim Mulkey, Don Staley,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just,
Mhm.
you need to find something else.
Yeah.
Because,
So
I don't know what it is. And I'm to the point that I don't know, and this is just me. This is just speculation. Y'all take it for what it's worth. I don't know if we'll see Talia Scott back. Or
We talked about her hitting the portal possibly.
I mean, yes, some of this is transfer portal PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, she was injured. She came back for a couple of games or whatever. Wasn't back to 100%. She's been sitting since. It's just, that mixed with when these players' social medias go quiet for as much as they were posting, you just start to look at it like, you kind of just get the vibe that, especially if there's coaching change that, or the way that the season's gone, even if there wasn't a coaching change, that they're going to go where that's better suited for them.
Correct. Teresa said it's like he tells them to only shoot the three. They had open lanes, and it was like an invisible barrier. And it was a joke. This is why Wolfberger left. Look, me and Adam talked about Wolfberger, and was like, wait a minute. You had Wolfberger, you had Poppenberger.
Poppenberger.
What's the young lady who transferred from? I think she's from Bentonville. She went to UConn, Oregon. She went to Oregon and transferred back home.
Keats.
That was Keats,
wasn't it?
I don't know. Either way, you had high-profile players that were willing to be on your roster. You couldn't find a way to put them on the floor at the same time. That's on the coach.
Well, then
at
look at Ole Miss even. Granted,
Coach,
one of their starters from McGehee, Arkansas, Markeisha Davis, who played at Arkansas.
She was on the team.
Yeah. She's on Ole Miss's team. And it was the same thing when we played Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
So the players that were vital parts of your team that still could be playing went elsewhere.
So Davis, matter of fact, speaking of her, I think I remember doing some reading up on her. That's a young lady who scored 2,000 points in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't find a way to get her on the floor as a freshman. Once again, Coach Neighbors, you're done. You're done. Hunter Yurchek, I don't know what you got to do. I don't know how many glasses of wine you're going to need to figure out this year, because you got a hell of a job on your hands. I'm not going to judge you for who you choose. But at the end of the day, ladies basketball, potentially men's basketball, potentially football, this is all speculation. But I know damn well the girls' basketball team, they ain't the damn coach. At the end of the day. And I feel like, and I'm going to say this too, I've been watching other teams play. I watched a hell of a day of basketball between yesterday and today. And even during football season. One of the things I've seen about teams that are successful, I watched North Carolina men's team the other day. You got Antoine James sitting courtside.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You got Roe Williams sitting a couple rows up. You got former coaches and former players who are pivotal pieces of the university that are supporting the team and are on. Hell, what's his name? Mate. He's on the damn coaching staff. I'm looking like, how is it that Arkansas doesn't have anyone that's a former player on the damn staff except Ronnie Boyd?
I was about to say. I thought you were going to leave him out.
Cool.
Well, that's something we've been talking about. I mean, hell, since we've really started talking before this show. That there's you see the what are you laughing at her comment?
Hey, yeah, Teresa said it looks like communion wine. It's blueberry. It's blueberry, Teresa.
You saw like you see the Pro Hog, the basketball players, they come to practice. I don't really think they're at games, maybe here and there. Right. But we heard it from the horse's mouth with Harold Harris that there's no connection there with former players and their programs.
Right.
And they're not necessarily saying like there needs to be handouts, but hell, take some of the media members that really have no business being there and give them the seats. Give the players the seats.
Right.
Let them be on the sideline.
Right.
Let them be, around the programs. Like, you can't tell me that none of these guys don't want to come to these games because they do. They're still in the state.
Right.
or even when they're in town. Hell, I know that during the NBA All-Star weekend, Bobby Portis was in Arkansas.
That's what he said.
Yeah, why weren't somebody reaching out? Like, you can't tell me that if Muss had called him up that he wouldn't drop by. He's done it in the past.
Right.
But have him there, get some excitement around it.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just interesting to see it. And like I said, it's getting very frustrating to watch the women's program. These ladies try really, really hard to make it happen. And the fact that we had quality players that were on the roster at one point in time, and for us not to have them now and then have a damn losing record. And the coach who just sits on the sideline like this and just courtside, just watching. And I'm looking like you don't have nobody on the bench. You can just call in and give these guys a rest. They were getting ran up and down the damn floor like a track meet, and they were just taking shots, like Teresa said, taking threes.
You lost today by 44 points. You lost Thursday by 37 points. I mean, granted, Thursday was against the number one team in the country, but at the same time, you just lost those two games by absolute domination. Yeah. And I know that Mabers even said before the South Carolina game that was the plan, is to run fast and shoot threes. It's like that was their plan.
You mean all week in practice and you watch film and that was your damn plan?
Yeah.
That's the best idea you had?
Yep.
Yeah, whatever. So at the end of the day, today was when they lost today against Ole Miss. That was the largest point margin in conference history, in school history for Ole Miss. Why do we always have to be the team that people set records on? Why? Football, basketball, it's just so disheartening and hard to watch, man.
The biggest loss at Bud Walton Arena for the guys' team.
Correct. All in the same year.
Yeah.
Hell, if I think back hard enough, I would think something happened in football that would be like a record number. If I thought about it real hard, it probably happened. But either way, it is what it is. So, on the baseball, something positive.
You got the sweep against Murray State. So I think, what was it? They've had 100. I think the tweet that Will Whitson put out was they've had 163 strikeouts. So far in the 11 games. And the reason he put that out was because I think the NCAA record for strikeouts in a season was set by Louisville. Okay. And it was like 760 something. So Arkansas is on pace. Obviously, you know that the SEC play is going to be completely different.
Correct.
But just the pace that they're at currently, if they were to continue that, they would beat it by like 79 strikeouts.
Okay.
So it's one of those that
can stay healthy though.
Exactly. Barring an injury, the positive is the pitching staff. Seeing what the other guys were throwing, it's if somebody were to go down temporarily, I feel like there's pitchers in there to help fill the roles. I just, with what Hagen Smith and Brady Tigert and what they're doing is just crazy. But, I know winning the series is the biggest thing, but it's nice when you get the sweep.
So, look, Teresa real quick made a comment. Teresa, follow up on this question. I find it funny that nobody's talking. Excuse me. I mean, Zip. So that makes one wonder if they have been firmly talked to. Not a threat, but yeah. Are you talking about the ladies basketball? What are we talking about? Teresa, can you expound on that, please?
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Because I know, when all the stuff, even previously, like with Jersey, which we've talked about on this show, some of those issues that were going on in the locker room, and maybe it just hasn't been talked about much more after that. But it sounded like, when that whole thing happened, there wasn't much accountability from the coaching staff.
Right.
When it came to the players. And so you had players missing workouts, missing shoot-arounds, showing up late. And the players that were there were noticing. And then they would speak up about it. And the coaching staff were basically protecting those players that were the cause of some of these issues.
And you can't do that.
So,
you cannot do that. That is not great leadership by the coaching staff or the head coach. Okay, the girls both here and going basketball. Gotcha. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Teresa. That's exactly what we was talking about. So yeah, it's like it happened, but it didn't happen.
Well,
If
and
you
let's
don't
look
talk
at
about it, it
too.
didn't happen.
Yeah, and let's look at too, and we'll be completely honest. I mean, women's sports just don't get the talk that the men's sports do. You know, somebody goes to enter the transfer portal, and that's the end of it. You don't hear about it again.
hmm I
So,
think I think this is I think that's happening at teams that don't compete for championships.
hmm,
Because I guarantee you, if it happened at UConn, it'd be talked about.
yeah,
It'd be follow up. If it happened at LSU, South Carolina, it'd be talked about. I just feel like those are teams that you pay attention to because they are competing for championships. Louisville, Notre Dame. So it's interesting how it comes and it goes. I feel like a lot of times on the men's side, it comes and it goes depending on who it is.
I think if
So,
you see the name like Talia Scott, and again, speculation,
mhm,
but if you saw Talia Scott hit the portal, then there'd be a lot of eyes looking at what's going on.
correct, correct.
But
So, question in regards to going back to baseball, is it any chance, barring injury, because we feel like every year the injury bugs always get us, is it any chance we compete for at least the top three spots in the SEC
yeah,
from what we've seen thus far?
I think so.
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
mean,
Gotcha.
you know, I know that there's a lot of the different media outlets that had Arkansas basically finishing between first and fourth. I think it was D1. It might have been another, so somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But D1 baseball had Arkansas winning the SEC. Again, could be wrong on which source that was. But yeah, I don't see any reason for Arkansas to not finish in the top two or three, if not win it all. This is a depth that I don't feel like we've seen in probably 15 years.
We talking pitching or overall?
Pitching staff.
Okay.
Now, I will say that these freshmen, and granted, you know, we're playing all different kinds of caliber teams so far in these 11 games, but a lot of the newcomers and the freshmen are already very quickly like solidifying their roles with the team.
Correct.
So I think that's a very good sign. But, you know, one of the issues we've always had was we get these seniors out of high school that commit and or whatever, and then we never see them because they get drafted and then they end up going to whatever farm leagues, this, that, and the other. And we're still seeing that. But I think you're starting to see some of these players go ahead and come to college. Right. And, I mean, I think some of that has to do with
don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I think some of it has to do with that.
But I thought NIL was ruining college sports.
And to an extent, it probably is. It needs to be capped. It needs to be regulated. We can say whatever. But
two things can be right at the same time.
Yeah. And like we've talked about also, this is giving the NCAA something to talk about year round.
Correct.
So that they're always being in the discussion. But, you know, I think you look at it, you know, when college baseball D1, they only get 11.7 scholarships that they have to divvy out. So NIL would make more of an impact on a program that you can only hand out less than 12 scholarships. So you aren't giving guys full rides. They're either having to pay for it, get loans, get academic scholarships. So, you know, NIL would make a big difference in the programs that they don't have the scholarships. But, you know, and I look at it too. They probably earn that too for how well they perform.
Absolutely.
Because there was another stat put out that Arkansas has been ranked in the past 95 polls, which goes back to like March of 2017. And our average poll position was 6. So they've been average ranked number 6 in the nation. Now, the icing on the cake obviously is the national championship.
Correct.
But, you know, it's one of those things that year in and year out, they're the most consistent.
Yeah. And as Matt just said in the comments, it's all or nothing year. Starting pitchers are too good. The bats need to wake up. We definitely need the bats to wake up. We definitely need to win some games based upon at bats, period. I mean, we know we got the pitching And as Teresa said, hey, if someone comes down, once again, when Stovall comes back, you got a good problem on your hands to say we got too many pitchers. That's a great problem to have. We usually don't have that problem. When it comes down to it and we need a good closer, we usually miss out on that type of situation. So hopefully we're able to do that this year and put it all together. Dave Van Horn has done a phenomenal job in regards to recruiting. But at the same time, we can't get over the hump. So hopefully this is the year we can make it all happen, put it all together. Everyone stays healthy. But as Brian said, hey, prepare for a rough patch at the beginning of the league. Play is coming. No need to panic. That's yeah. I definitely believe that as well, Brian.
You better.
I definitely believe a rough patch is coming because you talk about the level of competition with your non-conference games, and then all of a sudden you come into these matchup in these series in a league play, and all of a sudden you get a chance to match up with somebody who's on the same level or may have more experience as your team. So that's going to be interesting to find out how we look come league play at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this.
What?
As I'm talking to you, I told you I got the combine on my TV, and it's showing last year's combine. Some of these guys, they hyped up every year, and they trash. They really was trash in their rookie year.
Hey,
But
tell me where Max Dugan's at.
I think he's out of the league. Talking about the dude that was the quarterback for TCU.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think he's out of the league. Yeah. And let me be clear. I told you I'm a Stetson Bennett guy. Georgia, two-time MVP, back-to-back champion. He's on the roster for the Rams. He's gonna play.
Well, that's a sensitive subject.
Is it really?
He's no longer. He hasn't been a part of the team in like a year. He's dealing with like personal stuff.
Stuff. Gotcha. You ain't got to speak on it. No need.
They've put it out there in the media. Basically, it's just he's stepped away from the franchise to focus on himself.
Gotcha. But it's nothing in his performance that caused him to not be on the team.
No.
So yeah. So he did enough to stay on the team. All right, so check this out. Watching the combine, we had some hogs in the combine. Now let's be clear. I hate to say it on the hog channel. Texas showed out. Texas Longhorns showed out for the combine. Once again, Xavier Worthy, that man ran a 4.21 official. And as being you said, I was like, I texted him like, yeah, he got a 4.22. And all of a sudden you was looking like, yeah, it took him 40 minutes to make it official and call it a 4.21. I said, I feel like it just need to create some buzz about the combine.
All the talk has been about Caleb Williams and all that stuff. And so here was something that somebody was close enough that we can make it a headline for the combine.
Correct.
It's somebody else. And like we talked about too, he beat John Ross, who ran a 4.22. And it's one of those things that's great and all, like you being that fast, but that's like what we talked about with Arkansas when we hear about these players with world class speed or track speed or whatever, and it's just like then they get on the field and it doesn't translate.
Oh, so you mean the preseason talk where they talked about how guys ran 21 and 22 miles per hour?
100%.
Yeah, and didn't do shit during the season. So
I mean,
it sounds good. It's a nice article to write. At the end of the day,
Xavier Worthy, like 160 pounds soaking wet.
Correct.
So he's supposed to come into the league. I mean, if you want to be the next Devin Hester, try to, but you still need to put on about, 40 more pounds.
Correct.
So
to last the whole season, a whole NFL season. All right, so let's talk about the NFL Hogs and the combine numbers. Let me start off by saying my guy, Killer Cam. I just seen Killer Cam on IG. Cameron Little, the man went 60 yards. They call him Logo Little. The man went 60 yards on the field goal, man. I feel like he has a very promising career. I like him as a young man who's he's a caring young man. I know he donated a lot of his money and funds to what was it? Somebody in his family. Because
don't. Huh?
No.
People think that he's related. I don't.
A family friend. Can we say family friend?
For Cam Little?
Yeah. I know he donated a lot of his funds. Remember when
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Yeah. we'll leave it where it's at. We don't want to get into no politics with it. But either way it go, even from the situation where he came up and consoled the guy from Texas A&M who missed the kick, it just shows the type of character of the young man. So like I said, I really hope he does well and gets drafted and
Do
gets
you want to hear
opportunity.
his draft analysis from NFL analyst?
Is it from your boy
Who's my boy?
Mr. I got all the answers. Go ahead.
This is from
Yeah,
some
okay.
guy I've never heard of, so
Okay.
take it for what it's worth. Strengths. Cam made 83% of his tries during his career, made 64% of his career tries from 50-plus yards, opens hip and delivers a leg whip into the ball, very good high school punter who can step in mid-game if needed, able to plant kickoffs deep, allowing just 8 returns in 2023. His weakness is he will leave the ball out to the right on most of his misses, and he's fairly average career consistency from 30 to 49 yards out. And they just have him basically being an average at best NFL kicker.
I mean, at the end of the day, what kicker gets a great analysis?
Justin Tucker.
Oh, the dude from the Ravens.
Went to Texas. And then, let's see. What do you guys think about Caleb Williams going to be the QB in the MLB? I think that was just a fake tweet that somebody made because he's making all these demands. And so he was going to go play quarterback for the Dodgers or something.
Yeah, this is one time somebody asked me earlier, what did I think about Caleb Williams doing what he's doing, or the top 3 quarterbacks in general not participating at the combine. This is one of those times where I feel like the NIL situation is out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of hand to where these guys feel like I have the control. You guys are courting me at this point, and you're going to see me on your terms. Certified bust. I don't know about certified bust, but I definitely don't think he's the next coming to Patrick Mahomes. I definitely don't see that part.
One like we talked about before the show. If we were whoever number 1 pick, if I was the Bears and I was going to keep that pick and I was going to keep Justin Fields because there's the speculation that he's going to be traded to Atlanta. But I'm going to look at a player like Caleb Williams, him and his dad and what they're doing and all this demands and whatnot. I would look at them and say, I'm drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with Justin Fields.
Correct.
Shut it
I don't
down.
want to.
Don't draft him number 1.
Right.
And move on from it. Let him be somebody else's problem.
Yeah. You got to set the tone because all these demands and all this crap. And let's be clear. I remember another quarterback back in the day who was pretty good in college and who was highly touted. And no, Eli Manning.
I don't know. Demanded where he went.
Demanded where he wanted to go. So let's not forget. So he did the same thing. So either way it go, I just feel like I understand a person not want to go to team, but all these demands, if I'm the GM, if I'm the owner, I don't even want to deal with those problems. You need to come in and be a team first guy. Because at the end of the day, as a quarterback, one of your major components of being a quarterback, especially for NFL, is leadership. And you better tell me you all flipsy-flopsy all over the place because you demand and you want what you want and you being a little brat, Johnny Football. Hey, Teresa, have you seen?
Have you been watching him on the Club with Shannon Sharp?
Okay, yeah.
Him sitting down with him. Like, okay, if you want to start, watch the documentary on Netflix. But at the same time, him sitting down with Shannon Sharp to call himself out for all the issues that he caused or his dad, all of that, and him owning up to it. Like, I had more respect for him after watching the whole thing.
Absolutely. Dan, I don't know if you on X, you follow him on X. I don't follow him. I think it was just a retweet or a re-X or whatever they call it now. Anyway, so he said he will humbly set himself aside in regards to the Heisman ceremony. He said he will not be attending. He will not be on the stage for the Heisman ceremony until Reggie Bush is giving his Heisman back. He deserves to be on the stage. He said Reggie Bush is the Heisman. I was like, that shows a lot of maturity on his behalf to do something like that.
Oh, on that Shannon Sharp podcast, I mean, they talked about that, and Shannon asked him what would it take for him to get his trophy back, and point blank period, Johnny Manziel said it's going to take the NCAA to give him his stats back for the Heisman committee, whatever, to allow him to have his Heisman trophy back, because it all stems from the NCAA stats.
Yeah.
And he said, he looked at him, he was just like, when has the NCAA ever done the right thing?
Correct.
And he's right.
It's all politics. It's all politics. It's all politics at the end of the day. Like I said, they set things in place and let us as the consumer fuss and argue with each other. And at the end of the day, they sit back, kicking their feet up, making money. So I definitely get it. Listen, I respect him for what. Wait a minute, I gotta get Teresa. Teresa said something. I can't see it.
Listen, I respect him for what he's trying to do, get Reggie Bush's Heisman.
Yeah.
And then Brian said, going back to Caleb Williams, him and his pops remind me of Ball and family in basketball.
Ball.
LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, LeVar Ball said he was better than Jordan.
Yeah, he was going too far.
And he's the sole that shoe is the sole reason that Lonzo Ball's been injured for 2+ years.
This is correct.
So,
This is correct. I think people go too far.
Anyway,
yeah.
Back to our guys in the draft.
Right. So, I know I was looking at the screen. I did see we did have a couple guys who put up some decent numbers in comparison. Any chance because we talked about it before they even decided to go. We was like, who may get drafted actually? So we said Nudie may get drafted.
Nudie. I think we did look at, we looked at Limmer and Latham just from the standpoint of, offensive line, Arkansas offensive line, and how they've done in the NFL. There's still, I think, questions about Limmer and Latham from the Arkansas fan standpoint, but a lot of that too was our Razorback red colored glasses that were just pissed off at what we saw. We saw holding calls left and right, on these guys. So, one I was unsure about would have been Jeff Coat, because it was like he would show up for a game, but then you wouldn't see him for 6 games.
Right.
So I just wasn't too sure about that one. But ran a 4.69. Wait, no, that's what? Oh yeah, 4.69 40. Came in at about 6'4", 266 pounds. Let's see. Now, vertical jump, he was tied for 23rd out of 25 defensive ends. And his broad jump, he was tied for 10th out of 23.
And let's be clear, his position, that equates on the field to burst off the edge.
100%.
Yeah. That ain't good. That gives you a free agent.
I don't know why offensive linemen run 40 times.
It's not like look. I have no idea why they do what they do. At the end of the day, in one aspect that Caleb Williams said something, just go watch the film. You already know what these guys can do.
Well, Bo Limmer ran a 5.22, and Brady Latham ran a 5.32, because we need to know. These guys get flagged if they're 5 yards down the field.
Yep.
And you're sitting here measuring their 40-yard dash.
But who was that? Bo Limmer was tied for what, 3rd? And a vert?
I didn't have that on here. But yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. I think
now, granted, hey, flip side on, Nudie. He ran a 4.47. That was 15th out of 29.
Okay.
32-inch vertical was last. And broad jump was last.
And that equates to explosiveness and being able to jump up and attack the ball from his position.
Yeah, and some of his, weaknesses just from different media members, whatever. Some of it, I kind of had to agree with was, talking about when, like, say, Arkansas was down, but we're still getting. He tried to force too much on the deep passes to him, and he'd get penalized, especially in 2022, on a lot of those deep balls because he's trying to overplay. And then they said that there's a lot against the run that he tries to avoid contact, that he doesn't come up to make tackles.
Right.
And, you have to in the NFL.
Yeah.
Look what Cam Curl's doing with Washington. He's
Correct.
making a name for himself because he's getting out there and he's hitting.
Correct.
So
check this out. We 45 minutes in, and we ain't gonna stay too long. But I do know we have some news to share with the people in regards to our upcoming show. Because
yes.
guards have to pull. Because guards have to pull, Adam.
There you go.
That's why they want to know how fast they can go. Thank you, sir.
So next Sunday, 8 o'clock, we're going to start having on, which we mentioned last week, some different social media, live stream podcast guys here and there around the way. We're going to start next Sunday with Marcus Carlton, MC. He's on Inside the Hog Pen, so he'll be on. We're going to, the Razorback regular season wraps up, so we'll preview the SEC tournament with him, getting to March Madness, and we've got some others lined up over the next several weeks. So we'll just start mixing in some different guys, so, get them introduced into all of y'all in the comments and this and that. So it should be interesting to get, different points of view. So y'all don't have to listen to us the whole time.
I mean, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not going there with you. I'm not going there with you. All right. So we should have Matthew. Mm-hmm. We should have Matthew back next week, hopefully. That should be the move. And you had something else. Let me see. We also talked about, what was it? Potential football news?
Yeah, I mean, he said we could talk about it.
Right.
So, verbatim, Kansas State football team is looking at him. There is a offensive tackle from Georgia, Chad Lindbergh, 6'6", 325. Looks like he was at Georgia from 20 to 23. That him and Arkansas have mutual interest, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
So transfer portal's not done.
Right. So as we seen last year, it was spring practice and guys were still transferring. So there is an another open period between having spring practice and then being able to see where you fall on the depth chart, and then jumping to the portal right before the season starts. So that is definitely an option. I'm sure there's other guys that Pittman and the staff are looking at. So let's be looking out for that. When is spring ball supposed to start? It should be coming up soon.
Yeah, I think they named the spring practice. Let me just look real quick. And then, because I know, just speaking of future dates, you'll have the Arkansas Pro Day probably at the end of this month. It's usually end of March.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see that spring practices begin in 4 days.
So that'll be something to talk about next week for sure.
Yeah. So spring practice. So we'll start getting more news with the football team. Spring practices on March 7th, and then they end on April 13th. The Razorbacks will host a free open practice on April 16th.
Open practice, a.k.a. red-white game, a.k.a. the spring game.
So basically the next month we'll be getting a lot from football team.
Yeah, so we getting back into that. It will be interesting to see, because of course I'm sure they're going to have Bob Petrino front and center. Between Bob Petrino and Sam Pittman, front and center about what's going on, what we're looking like. Quarterback competition, which we haven't had in a long time, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Chances Muss is back next year.
Who knows? I don't think. I think the way things are going, you have to just kind of think that maybe he's gone. There's all the talk of Louisville. They've got better, and I say better facilities, better arena at least. And this is not taking anything away from Bud Walton Arena, but we all know that it's old, it's dated, which I know it's getting the renovations coming up, but they've got more NIL money. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him gone. I know Muss has still been in Northwest Arkansas watching some recruits, but at the same time, he could just as easily snatch those guys up somewhere else. So, that's at first I was just like, oh, well, he's still recruiting. But I'm like, this is college sports. So they can just pick him up wherever they find him.
Yeah.
So I don't think I think it's all up in the air. I don't want to say that he won't be back.
I got Muss coming back for one more season, though. I feel like Muss is a redemption guy. Like I said, could be wrong. Everything is fluid. You never know what's going to happen. They can tell straight in their face that they're coming back, and all of a sudden they'll leave. So I think I got Muss coming back for another season. And the outcome of next season will determine a lot. I feel like personally, this is just me speculating. Your daughter is at an age to where she's evolving and getting friends, and your wife is established and she has her own thing going. Which, of course, they can always uproot and do that somewhere else because I'm sure they were active in the community before they got here. But I really feel like Muss another year at Arkansas, being able to redeem his name, taking the team back to the tournament, going deep in the tournament. I think that's on his to-do list. That's just my personal opinion. Teresa said, I'm sure. I wasn't going to renew season tickets, but with all the off-season pickups that hired Petrino, I renewed because I knew I had to.
I'm not backing off of my 3-9 prediction. So, and that's just me. Like I've picked 8-4 seasons and 9-3 seasons far too much and been let down. So let's just flip the script after a 4-8 season. I'm going with 3-9, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not going that far. I will say I'll revisit that conversation after spring ball, and once see how soon they make a decision on the quarterback. If they drag that shit past spring practice, well, everyone's up for the position, even the third straight. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Make a damn decision. Figure out who you're going to get in the portal that can help you. Go ahead and spend these checks and throw these duffel bags and get what you need to be successful. Because at the end of the day, coach, it's a one-year deal for you at this point. It's a one-year deal for you at this point.
You know, there's a lot less headaches when it came to all this, and we didn't know. Like, we knew that players were getting bags of money.
Right.
But it wasn't all over the media.
Correct.
You know, the little handshake deals we didn't have to know about.
Right. Well, now they want to bring it out for the open, so now everyone has an opinion on it. And like I say, if you don't produce on their field, it's a direct reflection, and now as fans, we're all upset about it. So it is what it is in that regard. With that being said, guys, that's going to close out another week of the show. Hog HQ Live. Do not forget where you can see us on Facebook. We're on YouTube and on IG as well. Please feel free if you watch this and it is a replay, go ahead and chime into the comments if you see anything that you like or want to have a rebuttal to. I always go in the next day and check these comments and respond to people in the comments. So feel free to do that as well. Make sure to check us out next week. Matt will be back with us, and we got MC joining us to wrap up the basketball season. Hopefully we'll have some news in regards to basketball, maybe some news that we don't know about just yet. But we also will have football news coming up because spring ball is about to start. So it'll be interesting to see how this all works out. You got anything, sir?
Other way. There you go. No, I'm good.
All right, guys. With that being said, we are out of here. We appreciate you guys for joining us and chiming in for the show. Thank you so much for supporting us. And I want you to know this before we leave. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we can't tell you about it now, but man, we got some information in the DMs that may take this show to a whole other level. And we'll just leave it at that.
Peace.
All right, guys, we gone.